this one's an interesting question. Why do I not buy steelbooks anymore? I do, but not as much. I used to be a very avid collector of steelbooks. It was a very big, gotta get that steelbook. Ooh, embossing, debossing. Look at that line work. It's glossy. I hate glossy steelbooks. I like the look of them, but I hate them because they scratch so easily. I like matte finishes, even if it doesn't have any embossing, but that's usually the perk of the glossy ones. But why do I not buy them that much anymore? If I was such a big collector, what happened? Did I die? Am I dead? Am I dead? No, I'm alive. It's fine. I do have a pulse. Very faintly. But no, I don't buy many steelbooks anymore. And mostly it's because of Zavvi. Zavvi stopped selling to to Australia, so there goes the main reason as to why and how I got steelbooks. So they're how I discovered steelbooks through, outside of the ones that were casually at JB Hi-Fi. And yeah, ever since they stopped shipping, like last year, my amount of steelbooks I used to buy, as it was just a few months prior to them shutting themselves off, was that wasn't buying that many anyway. I was trying to slow down because they're really expensive. Steelbooks are expensive. They're more collector pieces than anything because they're all limited edition. And I had a really big collection. I sold off a lot of the collection. I still have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've still got 7 shelves worth of steelbooks. Not to mention the ones that are like in deluxe sets, like Casablanca and shit like that, which are like sets that I'm happy to keep because it's like they come with the booklets, they come with posters, that kind of bullshit, 4K transfers, that kind of stuff. Stuff that's mostly I've bought for collector reasons, like the Hitchcock steelbooks that like I already have the standard 4Ks or Blu-rays, and I've just been like, oh, well, they get the 4K steelbooks because I like the artwork. It's just posters. Just buy the fucking poster for $5. I didn't do that, obviously. I want to spend $60 on a 4K steelbook. But yeah, there's a lot of steelbooks down there. Still, most of them are just because I like the artwork, was why I would buy them, obviously. Most people bought them for the artwork. I did like the collectible elements to it. A lot of this I bring up because, well, the past couple of days people have been talking about The Exorcist and how the 4K steelbook is coming out and all this stuff. And it's like, they had this deluxe set which had like the original poster on the steelbook, and it looked really nice, and it was on Amazon only in the UK, and it sold out within minutes. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like, imagine if I was in the time zone where that wasn't an issue. Though I'd still have to buy it from the UK version of Amazon, and I'm like, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds expensive. Nevertheless, I guess I'll just have to hope that the Australian 4K edition, which will probably have the awful artwork of Reagan screaming or something, but not like her like evil demon face like her earlier in the film. I don't know, if you've seen the artwork, you'll fucking know what I'm talking about. Yikes, my god. Even like the standard steelbook is like, I don't mind the standard steelbook of her. It's fine. But the standard artwork, yikes. But still, like the most recent steelbook I bought was John Wick Chapter 4, because JB Hi-Fi, the local Australian retailer, happened to have releases for it. And that was a beneficial thing, because I bought all the films, the first 2 on standard Blu-ray, then the first one on 4K, and then the third one came out on 4K, so I got the Steelbook edition. And then I got the Steelbooks from America, the Best Buy exclusives, which were like Blu-ray DVD combos, which was like, oh, that's nice, I can put my 4Ks in those, even though I never got the 4K for the second film. Haha, who'd have thought? And now I just kind of have those first 2 Steelbooks as like display things. I only have the third one as a Steelbook. That makes it really fun to put on the shelf. I've actually put in a separate case to put in all 4 films. So I just, if you want to watch John Wick, they're all in one slim case. All the Steelbooks are up, way up here. Right here. You can't see it, can you? So, yeah. But then the 4th one came out, and they had released a Steelbook design, which I was like, it's not a bad design. Like, there are some great posters for this film, and honestly, I much prefer the Steelbook artwork over the standard 4K. That was a big factor. I didn't realize it until I'd already gotten it in that week. I went to JB and I found the 4K that they had there, and I realized it doesn't have a Blu-ray. There's no combo pack. The combo pack was the Steelbook, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like, I was lucky to get the third one on Steelbook, as it was when it came out in Australia, because it's the one that has, like, I think John with a gun, whatever, on the front, but on the back has his dog. It's got that kind of like trippy, like psychedelic style to it. I picked up the 4K, went to the counter, and was like, oh, just get this, whatever. And they're like, oh, hey, do you want the Steelbook? We've got one available. They didn't have any of the Steelbooks on the shelf. They had them behind the counter. And I was like, yeah, if you have a Steelbook. And they're like, yeah, we've got a Steelbook. It's a few extra dollars. I'm like, I want the Steelbook. I went there for the Steelbook. And they didn't have it. They had stopped selling it online. I was like, had run out of time. But no, I got it. Got the fourth one. It's all good. That's the last one I bought. And they're still both different. The first two Steelbooks from Best Buy. And I think even the fourth one, because I think it is designed. Maybe it's the Best Buy version as well. I don't know. But like, it's that American release, the main American release, so it's a glossy Steelbook. So the first, second, and fourth one are glossy, and the bloody third one's a matte finish, which is my favorite. I love matte finishes. Either way, I love the artwork for all of them. But I stopped buying them because I didn't need them anymore. It became that I was doubling up on films that only had maybe slightly more impressive artwork. Most of the time I wasn't even getting an upgrade disc-wise. And this is also, I'm saying this because something like WandaVision, the Marvel TV show, which I watched on Disney Plus, 2 years ago? They've announced that there's a Mantalab version, which is what made me stop following Mantalab, because I'm like, I don't buy this shit anymore, I don't fucking care. They had everything ever all at once come out in Steelbook, and I was like, man, that looks amazing. And then I didn't buy them. I think I'd set it to like a calendar thing. I don't know what the hell happened. I think I was socializing. I was like out with friends, and I looked at the thing, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need this shit, If they had a release in Australia, like a good art release in Australia on Steelbook for that film, I would have bought it, but I went with the 4K, which I'm happy with. Nevertheless, Mantalab was like, here's WandaVision, just the Steelbook, just the packaging. Like, if you've seen this, then you'll know they only released a packaging release. And some people were still like, oh, but it's a great collectible thing. Look, you get the Steelbook, which is a fine Steelbook, I guess. You still get your, like, full flip or lenticular and double lenticular, the one click, and then you get your art cards. And I think there was a booklet as well, which is probably just, well, of course there was a booklet with the Mantalab, with, like, just images from the show. But no disc. And a lot of, even non-collector people have been, well, especially non-collector people, have been like, what the hell is this? It's understandable, because Steelbooks are a collectible item. Like, that's the point of them. They were always meant to be a collectible thing. They're limited edition number. I have a bunch of really expensive limited edition ones. One of my favorites, probably my favorite, being from Suspiria. I didn't need to get it. I spent almost $200 on it. And I don't regret buying it, because it has some really unique and beautiful artwork that I have not seen on any release since then. It's one of those things where it's like, I used to also collect like premium Steelbooks as well, and I don't do that anymore. I think the last one I bought was maybe the Mantalab for 2001: A Space Odyssey. Because I really liked the Steelbook design for that, and it had some good extra stuff. The packaging was nice. I'd already had the Titans of Cult version, but I wanted to get this. And to be fair, I used to buy Titans of Cult a lot as well. I didn't care for a lot of their releases in the latter half of them releasing their standard versions, but they have yet to release their newer line, not to mention the fact that they're doing like new designs for their packaging. But I used to get them from bloody Zavvi. Where the hell am I going to get them from now? It doesn't matter. I probably won't buy them at all. It doesn't matter to me. I still follow them. I'm curious to see what the new designs look like, but yeah. I know I got Blade Runner as well, the Mantalab of that. I even got the Monsterverse set from, I think it was from Zavvi. That was a while ago, because again, don't buy from Zavvi anymore. And they had like 4 Steelbooks for, obviously, the 4 films, from Godzilla to Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla King of the Monsters, that kind of stuff. All 4 of those, I said in the wrong order, I know. But they had like a nice style that matched with all 4, came in this tin, remember when Steelbooks came in those tins? I think they still do, but it's like that thing where You'd have them all slotted in. They'd have artwork all the way around. It was so nicely designed, and we never got any in Australia. So I imported from Zavvi the MonsterVerse one because it was the only one I was like really happy to actually spend money on, despite the fact that I literally had bought steelbooks for all the other films. I'd gotten the 4K steelbook from Zavvi for Godzilla when that came out on 4K at least. I got Kong Skull Island. That's the only Blu-ray release I've ever had of that movie, because I'd gotten Godzilla, the 2014 film, on Blu-ray prior to the steelbook coming out. King of the Monsters, I think I bought 2 steelbooks for? No, I bought a steelbook for it because I really wanted one, but I also bought the standard 4K because I'd already bought the standard 4K when it came out. Then I bought the steelbook. And Godzilla vs. Kong, I bought the steelbook. I bought 2 steelbooks. I still have the second one. It's mint condition. It's been on my eBay for like 2 years now. No one's bought it. I don't know why the hell I still have it. I was like, this will be popular. I can resell this. Yeah, that's another reason I don't do steelbooks anymore. Because half of the time I'd be like, I want to resell this. I want to scalp it. Yes, I know. I didn't always... We all scalp, let's be honest. I know there's a lot of people who... I wasn't scalping for like fucking $100 extra or whatever. It depended on the goddamn steelbook. That was another big thing as to why I stopped buying steelbooks. Steelbooks became really expensive also because of scalpers. So much of the FOMO because of scalpers. And look, I am definitely guilty of that. Yeah, but to be fair, if we're going to be completely honest here, it's backfired a lot for me. The amount of money I've gotten out of it, not much. Not to mention the fact that hardly any of them were sold. I bought Doctor Strange last year on Steelbook. I like the design of it actually, even though I got the Boss Logic version on just a standard 4K. And I've kept it sealed because I put it on my eBay, and that was like 8 months ago. No one's bought it. And at this rate, it's like, I'm probably just going to keep it. I'm going to keep it up there. If someone buys it, someone buys it. You know, I'm getting a bit of money back. It doesn't really matter. But so far, it's just I'm just kind of keeping it. I do like the artwork to it as well. I should just keep it and just leave it from the store. But it's like it's only because I have it in my Sam Raimi collection. That's the only reason I've got it there still. And I don't want to have to give more money to Marvel and buy another goddamn 4K just so I can have a standard version to put in my fucking Sam Raimi collection. There's no point. It's a nice steelbook though. It's not the best. I would have preferred slightly different artwork. But it is what it is. Oh right, Mantelab didn't they do a release or something, or Nova Media or someone? I don't bloody know. I didn't bother. Nevertheless, yeah, that was. I was talking about those big sets. They were nice. The Hunger Games one that they released for the 4 films looked amazing. I would have loved to have bought it. I didn't. I would have loved to have bought it. That one looked really nice. Those films in 4K would be really cool. I've got the Blu-ray, so I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, no, MonsterVerse. I like the MonsterVerse films. I don't mind having like 2 sets of steelbooks because one's like a display thing, and they're all in that tin. Well, they're all 4K releases. You know, all the ones I have on steelbook now are, well, they're all 4K releases, but except for Kong Skull Island, because that was never a 4K release. That was only a Blu-ray release. So that amuses me. I haven't rewatched it since. I haven't rewatched it in a couple of years now, so like I'm yet to actually watch the 4K. So that's just kind of funny in my mind. But at least I know I've got the option. But I liked both steelbooks. They look vastly different, and I like that about them. But then there's scalping. Yes, that's a big deal. That was huge. I'm still selling steelbooks. I just sold one today. That wasn't even a scalping thing. I sold it for like $20 under the asking price, which it was $70 Australian dollars, which I was okay with, as in like $10 shipping as well, whatever. I'm only getting, I'm getting probably about $55 after posting it and whatever, which is fine. This is for Boyhood. This was the limited edition Mondo variant edition, because I bought a bunch of Mondo steelbooks, which also most of those included the limited edition, you know, the variants. I'd sold a few weeks ago, I had the Terminator 2 steelbook, the 3D 4K steelbook, which I'd gotten from Zavvi. I sold that with the Mondo variant. I still have the main Mondo version. I actually like the artwork still, and I don't need it. I've got the, unfortunately, 4K UHD release of the film, but I've got the Skynet edition, which is technically a Steelbook. It's actually just a Blu-ray that comes in a steel case, which I find really funny. There is a Steelbook version that exists, but I didn't found this one for like $20. It was still limited edition, so hey, Skynet, baby. But still, it's like, there are occasional films like that, like, so I've still sold films, but I don't care to buy them anymore. I have a bunch I should sell. I even was thinking to myself the other day how I have, like, I was talking about how in a previous video I have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original film, and I got the Best Buy Steelbook imported. Then I got the second side Steelbook imported because it wasn't even imported. Someone had it on eBay in Australia. And it was like $30. I'm like, hey, it's an extra disc with more special features. And then the Umbrella edition came out, not a Steelbook. And then the second sight 4K UHD came out, not a Steelbook. But I now have 4 different releases. I'm trying to sell off the Best Buy one. I should sell off the second sight one with it because I don't need it. The artwork's still very nice for both of them, but it's like, I don't need them. And someone else could benefit from them. Someone who's a Steelbook collector, especially in Australia, I should list them up. I should. The amount of times I've looked at this shelf and been like, I can clear up a lot of room if I just got rid of those goddamn Steelbooks. But a lot of them I still love collecting. Well, I just love having. There's a lot of Scott Pilgrim ones, a lot of ones for The Thing, Blade Runner 2049, some of my favorite films, Alien, I have as Steelbook releases because I just love the films and I like having these collections. I like having these variations of the movie. And there are some really fantastic Steelbooks that have come out in a practical purpose. Alita Battle Angel came with the 4K Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray, and a bonus disc. All in the goddamn Steelbook release. Beautiful. It made up for the fact that there was no artwork on the back. So there has still been benefits like that I've still been buying the occasional Steelbook. Mostly just as more or less a means to an end. It happens to be that it comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray. It's got some nice artwork I don't have to buy. I can still spend $5 to $10 extra, but I don't have to worry about getting the standard release, which usually won't have a Blu-ray disc. So realistically, for like, say, John Wick Chapter 4, for like, what, $5, $10 extra, which there was a sale the week it came out, so I actually got a $10 refund. But for the money I put into it, there was like, I was basically paying... it was like $40 for the 4K. I think it was $50 for the Steelbook. So for $10 extra, I'm getting the Blu-ray and Steelbook artwork in a Steelbook case. That's 2 extra bonuses for $10 extra, which I was very happy with, in contrast to the standard bloody 4K. So there are elements like that where I've still benefited from getting the random Steelbook, but it just doesn't interest me to collect them as much. If I happen to find them, like there was a store in Melbourne called Play Music DVDs, which they have a bunch of Steelbooks, not in shrink wrap or any plastic like that, and there's a lot of rare ones there that have been like, these have some nice artwork. I don't like how they're stacked right next to each other. Like, I bought a lot of protectors, invested a lot of money into that kind of display stands and stuff, which I know eventually, if I ever move out or have a whole different array of shelves, I can use that to, like, display them, which would be nice. Or I can not do that thing where people have put magnets on their wall and stuck them to them. I know they're magnetic, but that just sounds terrifying. I know that's a great way to display the Steelbooks, but it's like, I'm good. I'm good. You do you. But, yeah, it mostly just came down to lack of retailers in Australia. Lack of practicality. It was wasting space where I could be buying new movies that I haven't seen before over Steelbooks of movies that I've got 2 other copies of as a DVD and a Blu-ray or a 4K already. I don't need the Steelbook release. Yeah, that's basically the gist of what's happened there with Steelbooks. I still think they're a marketable thing. Like, clearly you look at other markets like the UK and the US, and they're still marketable things. But you look at Australia, and there's still a bunch, like, especially at the main retailer being JB Hi-Fi, you look at how many Steelbook releases that are still there on shelves after, like, a year. They've still got F9. The Fast Saga, it's still on shelves. There's, The Matrix Resurrections. I don't like the Steelbook that much, but I still like the film. But that Steelbook you can still get. There's a lot of Steelbooks for the past 2-3 years that are just there. just on shelves. They're like never going on sale. They're still retaining their $50 price tag. It's like, that shit should have devalued. That shit shouldn't be so goddamn expensive anymore. Like, cut off $10-15, I might even slightly consider it. I'm not going to. Well, Matrix Resurrections maybe, but I don't have the other film, so what the fuck's the point? And that's the last point I wanted to make. Why I don't collect steelbooks? Because of ongoing series and franchises and stuff. I know I say this having bought the MonsterVerse set, but that was a collective set of the first 4 films, which has what feels like a start and end point to some degree. You know, I know they're still doing MonsterVerse stuff, and I'm happy to see what they do. I don't know what they will do. Godzilla 2, Godzilla vs. Kong 2, the bigger monkey kingdom, I don't know what the hell it's called, but still, like, there's stuff like that, which is like, if they release steelbooks, I will probably buy steelbooks, but that's because I have standard steelbook individual releases for it anyway, so I'm kind of happy to do a mishmash, happy to add to it. John Wick was one of the last ones of, I want to buy the steelbook, compared to most other releases. Like Dungeons and Dragons came out, I'm like, I'm happy with the 4K, the standard one, I don't need the steelbook, you know. There's just a lot of releases that are like that have these limited edition releases with probably some nice artwork, and it just doesn't interest me anymore. Unless it so happens to be an interesting release. Like, what got me into steelbooks to begin with, not the first steelbooks I bought, but the one that I actually started collecting them with, was, to find practical purpose, was Alien Covenant. They had released it on Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray, I didn't like the artwork. And they had the steelbook there, and I was like, I'm going to buy this instead because I like the artwork. And I hated steelbooks because they were hard to take the disc out of and everything. They've evolved since then, but and that's a matte finish. It's still one of my favorite steelbooks because it's just simple. It's exactly what I like about steelbooks. I think it's right here. So it's like, it's just the simple thing of, it's matte finish. I know it's in a protector, but you get the neomorph, which I love. I love the silver background. It looks very kind of futuristic and like it's a drawing. I just love its design. You do have the xenomorph on the back and like some characters. I think there's the mural on the inside. It's just a really nicely designed steelbook. And even for the series, I've bought the first film, multiple steelbooks for it, Film Arena and whatnot. Same for Prometheus. I never got the standard releases that they had done for the first 4 films, which were like the egg for Alien, which still looked really good. The Alien Xenomorph for Aliens. There was one for Alien 3, but I didn't like the design of it, and Alien Resurrection didn't have a good design either. They're all the same style design, but I didn't bother buying them because they were also, this person was selling them for $100 each. In that case, I don't think it's a scalping thing. I feel like it's an out-of-print collecting thing. So I'm guilty of both, realistically. Like, I've bought a bunch of steelbooks for the intention of, I will probably eventually resell this. I've bought a bunch of premiums that I had kept them in condition with the no intention to sell them whatsoever, and after a year or two I sold them. I sold my Dune Manta Lab because even having opened it, and I was like, I don't care. I just don't care about it anymore. I want to sell it, so I sold it, you know. It was out of print for certain, definitely. But also, I had opened it, and yet someone still was happy to buy it. So, it's just one of those things where it's just, you know. I'd say I was guilty of doing the scalping thing maybe less than 10 times. Mostly with, like, either individual steelbooks I could get 2 of from, like, JB Hi-Fi. Not even really scalping, just buying 2 so I can sell the other one knowing that it'll go out of stock and I can rank up the price maybe 20, 30 extra bucks. You know, to kind of, I usually like I had the mindset of, unless it goes for crazy prices in the future because everyone else is doing it, I like the idea of, if I bought Kong versus, you know, King Kong, if I bought Godzilla versus Kong as a steelbook and then I bought another one, if I'm buying them both for like, say, $40 each, you know, spending $80 to get them both, if I sell the second one for $80 to $100, I'm getting my money back on both. Which means I'm basically getting it for free. That was like the mindset I had for a lot of it. It was never I'm going to buy this and hope that it's $300 in a month. It never was. It doesn't matter. And most of the other ones I've sold are just because they were out of print and I wanted to sell them because I didn't care to have them anymore, or I valued getting the money over keeping a steelbook. A lot of people do that with collections where they'll sell their collections because they need the money. So I had to do that for a lot of Steelbooks. So I don't care. Still, that's my rant, thoughts. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Get angry at me in those comments for having scalped a few times. I think we're all guilty of it. If you've sold a goddamn Steelbook, you're guilty of scalping to some degree. But I was never I'm buying this, I'm going to sell it for $150. I never did that. Depends on the Steelbook. Like some of them, like if they were exceptionally rare and still mint condition when I had them. Like even the one I sold, Boyhood, one of 2,000 units, variant limited edition version, and I still only sold it for $60. I could have sold that thing for $150, but no one was buying it because no one fucking wanted it. So, you know, maybe that's the real reason I didn't buy Steelbooks anymore, because they're not selling very well. Well, no, not really. Anyway, bye, I guess. I'm not doing... I can still do a Steelbook collection video, by the way. I've got plenty. I just can't be bothered. Bye.